Hey everybody, this is Leslie, and you're listening to the interview with Leslie Heaney. We are finishing off this week with a conversation with the great Nick Mele. Nick is a photographer and co-author of the acclaimed book, A Newport Summer. He also happens to be a lifelong Newport resident. And being someone who spends their summer in Newport myself, I absolutely love comparing notes with Nick about all of our favorite secret spots. We actually even got our phones out to figure out how you all could get there using Google Maps or an Uber. But we talk about our favorite walks, beaches to visit, restaurants, places for cocktails, stores, all the fantastic activities you can do in Newport, from visiting the Gilded Age Mansions, which might be a more sort of obvious one, to having coffee on the lawns of those mansions on Sundays with classic cars. We talked about Coaching Weekend, which is an incredible event that happens in Newport every 3 years and is not to be missed. And we talked about the International Tennis Hall of Fame, all the great things that are happening there, and great, fun, different things you can do, like kayaking in the harbor as a cheat to be able to listen to the music from the Newport Folk Festival. So Nick and I talked for so long about his amazing career before we got to talk about Newport and all of our favorite spots that I've decided to release this in 2 parts. So today you're going to hear Nick sharing all of his inside scoop on Newport. And then later in the summer, I can't wait to release my conversation with Nick about his work and career. But in the meantime, here's Nick giving us all of his inside scoop on one of our all-time favorite summer towns, Newport. I'm so excited about this week's sponsor, the 10 Mile Distillery. 10 Mile is an American single malt distillery based in the Hudson Valley, about 90 miles north of New York, and it is the maker of the award-winning Little Rest whiskey, made through a slow distillation process with all New York State grains by master distiller Shane Fraser from Scotland. And when I say award-winning, I mean it's earned a 95 out at the whiskey competition in San Francisco and a 96 at the New York International Spirits Competition. This is delicious. If you do not believe me about how delicious this is, the good news for you is that if you're in the New York area, you can go visit this incredible and beautiful distillery yourself. It's set among the most beautiful apple orchard with beautiful views of the mountains behind. Stop by for a leisurely tour or tasting, or even enjoy an expertly crafted cocktail. They also have gin and vodka available. They also have this incredibly delicious Thai restaurant that is in residence there from Thursday through Sunday. To learn more about the distillery, you can visit them at 10miledistillery.com/theinterview. All orders will receive 10% off if you put in promo code THEINTERVIEW at checkout. So go to www.10miledistillery.com/theinterview to get that discount, that 10% off. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Nick, I'm very happy to see you. So thrilled that you're up there in Newport, and I can't wait to talk to you about all of your favorite things and places about summer in Newport. And I should mention, for those of you who don't know you, that you're a lifelong Newport resident and also a wildly successful photographer, sort of the Slim Aarons of our time. Before we get into the kind of the Newport piece, because, you know, this is sort of part of this, as I mentioned, kind of this summer series I'm doing for getting kind of behind the scenes of people that are in the know in these different towns, because I actually got a text from a friend saying, where should I stay in Newport? Or, you know, I'm going to Millbrook, what should I do? And I thought, gosh, I should just roll this into the podcast and get people who actually really know what's going on to talk about it. So really grateful to you for joining the pod.
Yeah, happy to be here. This is it's not my first podcast, but it's definitely my first video podcast. So I had to make sure I had the lighting right in the background, and that my wife had to approve my wardrobe, etc.
I was going to say you're looking good. You're looking really good.
Oh, thank you.
And your shirt actually is the perfect. I don't know if your wife kind of gave you some feedback there, but it looks great with the background. So she art directed in a really great way. She's on the case. So maybe we should take it from the top in terms of people listening that want to go visit Newport, see Newport. Where would you if you're going to do a 3-dayer in Newport, what would be your first stop of a place that you might want to stay if you're not, staying with a friend or someone in the know, you're going up?
The first choice, I would definitely recommend staying with a friend. because if you know someone up here, they're going to be able to show you their Newport,
Yeah.
which is great. I know some people are like, "Oh, I don't want to impose," but things like that. But Newport is definitely the type of place to stay with a friend.
Yeah, you just brought that up. It just really it struck me. I was just thinking that like there are so many parts of Newport, like the sailing community, for example, like in and of itself. There are people that I know who go up to Newport and they spend their entire time on the water and they're in sailing races or they're with other sailors and they're experiencing Newport only in that way. Or people that are just going to see the mansions as tourists or going for the weekend, or they have a home there and they're playing tennis or they're doing whatever they're doing. There's so many different ways to experience it in different types of people that are in Newport. It's a pretty diverse community, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Totally, and that's why when I say in my book that it's my perspective of Newport, because
Yeah.
this is a huge sailing community, and I don't sail.
Yeah, me either. Yeah.
So there's maybe like 3 photos in my book of sailboats.
Yeah.
I think I have a picture of the Volvo Ocean Race. You've interviewed Nick Dana earlier. I saw that. And, there's like one picture of polo. Like I never go out to polo. Like, so that's not my world. So the book and the things I capture are very much my world, but there are whole sections of Newport that someone else who comes to Newport could experience it completely differently than I do. And it is a huge tourist town. I barely ever go into town because, town is so focused on the tourist side of things.
Yeah.
That, I kind of stick, to the outskirts and to the beach and the club that I go to and my house and my friends and things like that. But there's a whole downtown that really is geared towards tourists and people coming just for the day, coming from the weekend, coming from New York, coming from Boston. It's really accessible from Boston. It's about an hour and 15 minutes away. New York is about 2.5 hours by train, maybe about 3 hours if you drive, not during rush hour, not during traffic.
Yeah.
I've had people try and come up here from New York on a Friday driving, and it's taken them 6 hours, 7 hours.
Yeah, I was going to say it could be 3 or it could be 6. Yeah, it depends on when.
So it really depends on how when you're leaving and stuff like that. It's a little bit less accessible than the Hamptons and things like that. So from New York, so that will deter some people. But anyway, to get back to your question, if you're coming in and you're looking at where do you stay, it used to be. For a while, there weren't very many options. It was either Viking Hotel, which is in serious need of a makeover, or it was bed and breakfast, a small little bed and breakfast, which could be hit or miss. And in the last, 10 years or so, 15 years or so, the options have gotten a lot better. One of my oldest friends in the world opened a hotel downtown called the Gardener. It's been open for about 2 years now. And it's fabulous. They really put a lot of thought into the lobby and the bar and the restaurant and the living spaces. And it's right on the water downtown off of Thames Street. And it really, more than any other hotel, I would say in town, gives you the vibe of old Newport, of kind of the Newport I was trying to showcase in my book. The wallpaper in the lobby is all taken directly as a copy of the wallpaper from my friend's house growing up that was hand painted by his grandfather, Howard Gardner Cushing, who was this, very famous painter at the turn of the century. And the bar feels more like somebody's living room where you can really entertain. Yeah. My friend Howard, who owns the hotel, is the consummate host and is just so good at creating an atmosphere that really gives you an experience. And the restaurant Flora's, it has become kind of the place to be, the place to go out. The food is fabulous, and it's overlooking the water, the bay.
Oh, Narragansett Bay.
Yeah, is that right? Is it Narragansett Bay, or it's the harbor, basically? Yeah. And so that's a great place to stay. And then there's the Auberge, the Vanderbilt. The Auberge Group owns the Vanderbilt Grace in town, right in the center of town. And that used to be a house, a huge house, and it's been turned into this fabulous hotel. It's really, I think, top notch, and it's an experience, and it has it really also has kind of a vibe. It's a little dark, but because it's managed by this big hotel group that knows what they're doing. It just every detail is taken care of, and they have these amazing experiences. You can, do whiskey tastings, and they have vintage cars that you can rent, and they have a rooftop bar that overlooks the whole city. So that's another great place to stay. And then if you don't want to be in town, you can go to Castle Hill outside of town, which is probably one of the best views in Newport, and you can sit out there at sunset with your drinks. I mean, I would recommend going there, even if you're not staying there, to just go and have dinner or sunset cocktail.
I was going to ask, what's your other favorite cocktail spot?
I think, growing up, everybody went to the Clark Cookhouse. That was kind of the place to go. It's right in the middle of town, and it's open. It's right on the harbor as well, and it's gigantic. There are 4 floors, and each floor has a different vibe. The downstairs is called the Boom Boom Room, and it's kind of like a disco.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of really go and dance. And then the main floor is the restaurant, and then the top floor is called the Sky Bar, and you have to wear a jacket and tie to get in there, and there's a velvet rope, and it's very much, everything you would expect out of that, but it's really is an experience. And they have a DJ up there, and at the end of the night they play God Bless America to kind of wind everything down.
Time to usher everybody home.
Yeah, and it really is one of those last few places where you have to get dressed up to go, and everybody, it kind of harkens back to a bygone era of kind of Newport.
That is, I think, one of the great restaurant spots, and it's Flora's, right? And the Gardener is also awesome. Any other restaurants that you like? You feel like, and you talked about
Castle Hill.
Castle Hill. That also, they have that restaurant there, right? That you can have dinner outside if you want to. You've got to make a reservation, but the view is so amazing.
Yeah, I mean that's a place you almost have to make a reservation 2 weeks in advance, and get on your computer at midnight to
getting Taylor Swift tickets. Yeah, you're like,
they make it very difficult there, but you might also be able to show up, and they have space. And then
what about any other? I'm trying to think of. Barcino is great in Washington Square.
I love Barcino.
Yeah.
I love Stoneacre Pantry, which is right there as well. There's a great Mexican spot right around the corner from Barcino called Perro Salado.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a tree growing in the courtyard, and the food is great. Kind of the staple of Newport that everyone has to go to is the Black Pearl.
Yeah.
Which is right next to the Cookhouse and is owned by a great friend of mine, and is actually where I met my wife. I met my wife on the patio of the Black Pearl.
Stop it.
Yeah, so it holds a special.
I was going to say, do you guys have anniversary dinners there? I love that you met your favorite place. That's so awesome.
Yeah, no, it was very cool. She was actually on a blind date with my good friend who owns the Black Pearl now, and I met them for drinks afterwards, and swooped in and stole her.
That's a story for another episode, Nick. The romances behind some of these things. Okay, so Barcino, Perro Salado, and then there's also, like, if you want to do like diner dives, there's like Franklin Spa or Jack's Handy Lunch, like for breakfast. Maybe you mentioned Bell's too in the Shipyard, which is a really cool experience.
Yeah, Bell's is great. I haven't really been back there since it was bought out by the big corporation.
Yeah.
It was great when it was owned by the Dana family, and Isabella Dana kind of started it and ran it. It was fabulous. And there's a ton of great kind of diners. Annie's is another one right up on Bellevue. Yeah, lots of like dive diner breakfast places. A little bit out of the way, one of my favorite Italian restaurants anywhere is this place called Mama Louisa's.
I know. I love Mama Louisa's. Yeah.
That's like way down on Thames Street, and it's this tiny little place, and it's run by a real Italian family. They have great pastas and Dover sole and things like that. And
that's kind of right in a residential neighborhood. It almost doesn't feel like there should be a restaurant there, and it kind of makes it feel like you're eating in someone's house. I mean, you are eating in someone's house. It's in a house.
Yeah.
But that's a really great option too. I forgot about that one.
Every time I go to Newport, I have to get Mama Louisa's at least once.
At least once. I'm so excited about my latest sponsor, Cozy Earth. Cozy Earth's bamboo sheets are temperature regulating and guaranteed to give you the best night's sleep you've ever had. They're made from viscose from bamboo, and they naturally wick away heat and moisture from your body, allowing you to sleep several degrees cooler. Now, for ladies of a certain age, like myself, who may be experiencing night sweats, those several degrees cooler make all the difference. They alleviate your symptoms, and they help you sleep through the night. My Cozy Earth sheets have literally changed my life and my husband's too. We have a very temperamental Nest thermostat at our summer rental here. 1 minute 69, the next it pops up in the middle of the night to 74, and all I keep thinking about is how I wish I was lying on my luxurious Cozy Earth sheets that I have at home. Cozy Earth sheets not only keep me cool and allow me to sleep like a baby, but they're also the softest sheets I have ever owned. It feels like you are sleeping on a cool cloud. I could not love this product more. Another amazing thing about Cozy Earth sheets is that you get a free 100-night sleep trial. So you can try them for 100 of the hottest nights this summer. And if you're not in love with them, you can return them hassle-free. But trust me, you will not want to return these sheets. So upgrade your summer and your life, frankly, and go to CozyEarth.com. Use the code INTERVIEW at checkout for 40% off temperature-regulating sheets, apparel, and more. Trust me, you're going to feel the difference the first night. That's CozyEarth.com. Use the code INTERVIEW for 40% off. Sleep cooler, lounge lighter, stay cozy. Okay, what about favorite beaches or drives or walks, sort of like activities for people to do? Let's sort of off the tourist track a little bit.
I mean, it is very touristy, but you have to do Cliff Walk. Cliff Walk is the 3-mile walk along the coast that basically starts at Easton's Beach, First Beach, where there's actually another great hotel called the Chandler. And
that's a nice place for a drink to add to our cocktail spots, right?
Yeah.
The Chandler, if you want to sort of have that view.
Yeah, that's that's on the other side of town, right overlooking Easton's Beach, which everybody calls First Beach. They have a great burger there, and the rooms are all different there, kind of, very cool place. And so you start the Cliff Walk there. It's about 3 miles. It used to be really rocky terrain, but they fixed up a lot of it. And you don't have to walk the whole thing. You can get off in different places. And then it ends kind of on the other side of the island, over by where I live, around what people call Rejects Beach. I don't know actually what the technical name for it is, but it's called Rejects Beach by the locals. And it's probably my favorite public beach on the island. It's a little bit lesser known, and there's not a lot of parking around there, so you kind of have to park a little bit farther down and walk to it. And it's a small little beach, but I think it's, if you're trying to avoid kind of that straight tourist crowd, I think that's kind of the one to go to.
That definitely, that's a great, I forgot about that. I was thinking more of like Second Beach in Middletown, but you're right, like that little sliver there at Rejects, which I also don't know what the actual name is such a good spot to go to. You've got to find parking might be a challenge. You might want to Uber, but that's at the end of where Bellevue meets in the curve. And I don't know how you would tell an Uber driver where to go there, but it's kind of like where Bellevue goes out
meets
to
Ocean Drive, kind of. If you type Rejects into Uber, it might actually even be called that.
Okay, hold on. We're going to keep talking. I'm going to do that now and see if it comes up. When you put in Rejects Beach, it comes up as Bailey's Beach.
Okay.
So at least it's going to get you there for people that are listening, so it's next to, it shares the beach piece with a beach club. So, but you can access it from that's a secret tip. You're hearing it right here live on the pod, that you can put in Rejects and it will take you to this place called Bailey's Beach, but you just have to go into the public side. Okay. Any other activities or I loved how you were describing the different months of the summer and how you kind of had laid your book out, with that in mind. And August does have so many events. I think the Tennis Hall of Fame has a bunch of events during the year, right? And
the Tennis Hall of Fame is great. It's just a great place to go any time of year to see. They have the grass courts and it's beautiful. And if you're into tennis at all, it is the Hall of Fame for tennis.
Yeah.
So it's just a very cool place to check out. And then they do have the induction every summer I'm not sure what time of year, where they induct the new Hall of Famies, and they have, kind of exhibition tennis matches
Yeah.
with a lot of pro players or former pro players and things like that. And that's
Yeah, I think Sharapova is the honoree this year. I think it's late July or early August. So they do get they get sort of super well-known professional tennis players that come in. Maybe they've sort of past their prime, right? They're not active anymore, but as part of their induction, they have these like exhibition matches there, and that's right next to the car museum too. I'm going to look it up.
The Audrain Car Museum, which is very cool. It's exactly what it sounds. It's a museum with all these vintage cars that you can go in and check out. And Jay Leno actually has a house in Newport, and he's a huge car enthusiast. You can see him at a lot of these kind of car events. They have I don't know when it is, but they do cars with coffee on the lawn of a lot of these fabulous houses on Sundays.
Oh, stop it.
Yeah. And you can go and, get coffee and look at these vintage cars in the background of these fabulous houses. And you might see Jay Leno there. And
I did not know about that. I guess, also should, in thinking about activities besides like touring the mansions, which is always, an unbelievable thing to do, because you can only really, that's truly a Newport experience, right? Having access to that many different mansions and the history behind them, and you can do
the houses like this in general. I mean, there's not very many places in the U.S. where houses like this exist anymore that haven't been renovated or torn down or anything like that. So just to be able to see them, period, is kind of a uniquely Newport experience. But it's also cool to do activities on the grounds of these houses with these houses on the background. Yeah. Another thing that they do during the summer is called Newport Film. And they show documentary films on the lawns of these houses, right at sundown. And you go and you bring a picnic, and a lot of times they have food trucks and stuff like that, but you bring a picnic blanket and you go and you watch these documentary films on the lawns of these great Newport mansions. You can go on the Newport Film website and kind of look at their schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I was going to, to look at the website, you can get a rundown of what they're showing. But you're so right. That is such a great way to bring kind of art to some of those incredible spaces, because you wouldn't otherwise be lying on that lawn, like at the breakers at night, getting to watch an incredible documentary or movie.
Of course, if we're talking about art, there's the Newport Art Museum, which is a fabulous little museum here in Newport. They get.
But you had an exhibition there last summer.
I did. I had a show there last summer, which was great. It was amazing it was my first museum show, and it was great to do it in my hometown, or what I now consider my hometown, and really to be able to showcase my stuff there. It's really a great museum, and they do a lot of fantastic exhibitions. I don't know what is on there this summer, but it's right in the middle of town, and it's worth checking out. And right next door is the Redwood Library, which also a lot of times will have different exhibitions that are worth checking out.
That too is I think Trudy Cox told me, I don't misquote, but it's either the oldest or one of the oldest libraries in the U.S. So that, from like a historical perspective, that's another great one to visit. And then you talked about Doris Duke's house and the camels. That is its own.
Yeah, it's not part of the Newport Preservation.
Yes, it's its own animal, and you make reservations there, right? Separately.
Yeah, I don't know if you need reservations. I think you can probably just go and buy tickets. Yeah, it's its own thing. It's Newport Restoration Foundation, which was Doris Duke's charitable thing to fix up the houses in town. For people who don't know, Doris Duke was one of the richest women in the world when she was alive. Duke University. I think the money comes from cigarettes. I think her family was the first.
Tobacco, yeah.
I think they were the first ones to create rolled cigarettes, like already rolled cigarettes.
I mean, God bless them. That's I don't do it anymore, but it's one of my it was one of my favorite pastimes. I know. So
she died about 25 years ago, and her house became a museum, or tourable. And now they have great topiary camels on the property as a tribute to the real camels that were there when I was growing up.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. that is a great detail to mention. And then so you talked about August. August is like, there's so many events in August, right? The Folk Festival is a huge one.
Yeah, the Folk Festival is great. I mean, if you just watched the Bob Dylan movie that came out last year with Timothy Chalamet, the big focus of that was the Newport Film Festival and how he played electric at the festival, and that was considered sacrilege at the time. But it's has a history of getting fantastic artists, Bob Dylan, Simon and Garfunkel, and James Taylor, all these huge artists, and they get some really great headlining acts even to this day. And it's all at Fort Adams, which is right at the end of Ocean Drive. I think it's like kind of the end of July, early August. And tickets at this point are already sold out. But if you can think of it in advance for next summer, it really is kind of this cool acoustic concert thing that people even bring their boats around because it's right on Newport Harbor. They'll bring their boats right up to the Fort Adams and listen from their boats and things like that. So that's a great one. And then there's also the Newport Jazz Festival if you're into jazz. That comes in August as well.
Yeah, I was going to say that even just like if you can get out on the harbor, that you mentioned the tickets being sold out, like a great way to do. I mean, you're not going to hear the music as well, obviously, if you had tickets or you're at Fort Harmon, but having that option of being on the water so you can kind of hear the music, can sort of, be on the water listening to music is a great way to get to do and get to, be out on the harbor, which is a fun thing to do anyway. If you go down to Bowen's Wharf, right, I think you can just like find a charter there if you want to go out and.
Well, there are even people who will rent kayaks and kayak over to there and listen that way. So there's definitely ways to if you're determined to get over there.
That I also forgot about just like walking down Thames Street, right? Antiquing, and there's so much to do. You and I could be on for 2 hours. I mean, we got like Thames Street would be a good one if you want to just sort of like see a bunch of little shops, and there's some antique shops there, and it's kind of touristy and crowded, but it's a place where people go. And off of it, the people can rent those. I don't even know what they are, but they're like those sidecar things that you can take around.
The bane of every resident.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I shouldn't be encouraging
getting caught behind one of those sidecars going 5 miles per hour down Bellevue Avenue.
It is. There's probably nothing worse, actually. There's probably nothing worse. But I had to plug it if people don't have a mode of transportation around town.
Oh, I want to point out one thing for August this year, which is cool. That only I don't know the exact date. I think it's around like the 17th or 18th of August. That weekend. It only happens once every 3 years, which is Coaching Weekend.
Yes.
Which the Preservation Society sponsors, and it's this year. And all these old great stage coaches, basically, that are privately owned by people around the country, they all descend on Newport and kind of tour the town for the whole weekend, and they stop at different mansions and do a little show, and they stop at different private homes, and you can really just kind of go and see them and take pictures, and the people who own them and ride on them dress up in top hats and all the kind of old school garb that you would expect. And it's really just kind of, it's not more than anything, to just go and view, but those horse-drawn carriages with the background of Newport and the houses is really kind of interesting to see.
Oh, totally. I mean, it's something you wouldn't see, I don't think, anywhere. I mean, anywhere else, really. Yeah. But there. And I mean, I know that there are coaching events other places, but as you mentioned, not with the backdrop of those Gilded Age mansions and kind of giving you sort of a feel of what it must have looked like when people were using those to get around. Okay, what did we miss? Did we miss anything?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm sure we've missed a ton. Okay. Like I said, there's a polo field, so it's a little bit. It's in Portsmouth, but there is polo, which is cool to go to if you're interested in that sort of thing. There are, great boats to charter in the harbor, like you said as well. There's the Tennis Hall of Fame. There is
Statuus Point. I looked it up.
No, that's not it. I feel like that's not it.
It's Statuus Point in Middletown, Rhode Island. It's right past. You can see my.
Maybe it is called Statuus
right
Point.
There, Statuus Point.
Now you're gonna have me break out my phone.
We should have. This is like, I don't know. I know Yeah, yeah.
Total
Really,
no.
like hashtag this is 51 with me like forgetting the names of places that we just talked about. But
Okay, yeah. So that is Satchers Point, but there's also out there's the Norman Bird Sanctuary.
oh yes, great call. Great call.
Which is another one that's worth checking out. And while you're out there, there's Sweetberry Farm, which is this great farm where you can go berry picking. They have a little restaurant there where you can get prepared foods and things like that. And so that's right in kind of Middletown, right near the Norman Bird Sanctuary.
That is a great call for kids, like doing the Norman Bird Sanctuary and then Sweetberry after. Oh, you know what? The other place we didn't mention, which I think we probably should, is Pasta Beach. If you want like a casual pizza pasta dinner, Pasta Beach is great. Bellevue. And there's some great little stores there, like dress stores and some antique stores there. Oh, great store. Look, if you're looking for some lamps or lampshades, which I know sounds like, why would you go shopping for lamps or lampshades? But it's such a unique store and has other home goods, is Newport Lamp and Shade.
Yeah, owned by Patrick Dolot, who's a great guy, and it's a very cool place. I've had a book signing there back when my book was new. My book, by the way, I think it just sold out, so you might be able to get
it.
Having plugged it this entire podcast, you probably can't get a copy, but maybe if you go on Amazon, there are a couple copies left, but it's very close to being completely gone. So if you are, and I have a few copies on my website. So if you are at all interested, get them now while you can.
I am so grateful to you to taking the time to give people that are listening, all the listeners, sort of this kind of inside unique perspective of someone who loves Newport and has grown up there. And anyway, so nice to see you and thank you so much. And
thank you, Leslie, again.
That brings us to the end of this episode of the interview. A huge thank you to Nick Mele for joining. I really enjoyed our conversation and can't wait to release our second part of that conversation later on this summer, where we talk about Nick's incredible career. Also, big shout out to my summer sponsor, the 10 Mile Distillery. Don't forget to visit their website so you can purchase some of their delicious award-winning whiskey and other spirits. That's 10miledistillery.com. And don't forget to use the promo code THEINTERVIEW. And last but not least, Cozy Earth. I want to thank them also for sponsoring. They have the most luxurious temperature-controlled sheets and pajamas and all different kinds of apparel and goodies. So you don't want to miss that. So please go visit their website, CozyEarth.com. This is the last day, really, you can do it to use the interview promo code. You get 40% off all of their amazing products. So be sure to go visit CozyEarth.com and use the interview promo code at checkout. And as always, thank you, listeners, for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate or review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Next week, we are taking a pause from a summer series, releasing one episode, and we'll be back with more favorite summer spots the week after. So until next Wednesday, this is Leslie, and thanks for joining the interview.